I have not heard any feedback. Are you needing a moment, or you have taken a snapshot? Because I don't want us to get to the end and then ask yourself, what did we do? What did we do? So if you understand that these are the 4 things that by the end of this workshop, you would walk away with these 4 things, take a snapshot and then let me know.
Taking the snapshot, I'm done.
Okay. Do we need any more time to take a snapshot? Okay, so let's go ahead. The first thing we're going to be talking about is understanding how communication is. Because if you don't understand what communication is, even if you are communicating in your mind, that's what you are doing, but that is actually in reality not what's going on. Poor communication habits are so common that we no longer recognize them as poor. So you do one thing so often that you think is the right thing, whereas it's not the right thing. That is what this quote is talking to us about. Poor communication habits are everywhere, not just around our environment. It's also online, it's everywhere. So you just see it and you assume that that's the correct thing to do, but no, that is not the correct thing to do. Communication is the basic building block for all our relationships, for our marriages, for our workplaces, church, with our children, with our friends, our colleagues, you name it. Communication is the bedrock of every relationship. So without communication, what do we have? We don't have anything, because everything that you have to do, you have to talk to somebody, you have to, you have to do a lot with talking and also expressing yourself, that makes it the bedrock of all the relationships. So think back. Every child that you see, the one that you have, the one in school, you just imagine a child. What does that child learn to do? We all learn to talk. We never learn to communicate. Hey, my baby just said her first word. Yeah, now my baby has 10 words in her vocabulary. But how to communicate is never taught to people. They only learn how to talk. That is why we need to understand that communication is not just talking. Communication happens when your message is understood and when connection is maintained. Don't you see that a lot? Sometimes when people say something, you say, don't talk to me like that. When you're telling somebody, don't talk to me like that, was that communication effective? Let's kind of make this a little interactive. If you're talking to somebody and then you told the person, don't, or the person told you, don't talk to me like that, or you're having a conversation and the person says, don't talk to me like that, was that communication effective?
No, not at
It
all.
was not. It was not. So communication is equals to the message with the emotion, with the delivery, and with understanding. Maybe see if there are no people in the waiting room. So the goal of communication is not to win the conversation. I don't know if you've noticed that there are some people that is either their way or there is no other way. It's either their way or the highway. It is only their way that is the way. But is that communication? No, that is not. The goal of communication is not to win the conversation. The goal of communication is to strengthen relationships. So what then is communication? Communication is the process of sharing information, is the process of sharing ideas, is the process of sharing thoughts, the process of sharing feelings between individuals through speech, through writing, and other forms. You can be watching a video and that is the means of that video communicating to you or with you, because sometimes you watch the video and you start crying, you start feeling emotional, and you start acting out sometimes, depending on what movie it is. And then you could even get smarter. That's a means of communication through that medium. So communication is the process of sharing information, is the process of sharing ideas, is the process of sharing thoughts and feelings between individuals through speech, through writing, and other forms. Have you seen, can you remember a time where somebody has spoken to you and then you now bear a grudge against that person? That communication led to a grudge being felt. Come and pluck it here so you can rest. So that communication breakdown is a form of communication, but it's an ineffective form of communication. Do you have conversations or you have confrontations? Because if your conversation with somebody ends up with that person being upset, then it means that you had a confrontation. So if you did not have a conversation, then you had a confrontation. An angry person is not a listening person. So from now on, we should do one thing. And the only thing we should do is pay attention to the other person you're talking to. If that person is upset and is angry, don't even bother because the person has checked out. Whatever the person is hearing is not what you are saying. So don't try to have a conversation with somebody who is angry. It's only going to get worse. So observe the other person that you're talking to. When you observe the person that you're talking to, the next thing you do is gauge the atmosphere. What I'm saying, is it being absorbed by the other person or not? If it's not being absorbed by the other person, then don't even bother because the person is not hearing you. There are different types of communication styles. I need us to understand that there are different types of communication styles. There is no one unique communication style that is one size fits it all. So if you have a conversation with somebody, what is your communication style? Communication style is not what you say. It is how you say it. So how you're talking to somebody is your communication style, and it's going to be the way that person is going to receive that message. Same message, different style, different outcome. That's why you have a math teacher in first term. That teacher teaches all the way that he can, and then you probably didn't pass. And then you have another teacher that makes teaching more fun and learning more interesting, and then now you're able to pass. Why I used math is because 1 + 1 is 2 in the whole world, is universal. So why did the first teacher fail at delivering the assignment that he was called upon to do, while the second teacher was able to deliver? It is called communication style. So what outcome do you want? That's going to be determined by the communication style that you use. Because we didn't learn how to communicate, we also might not even know the kind of communication style that we use. So we are going to see that there are different communication styles with everybody. The first communication style is the passive communication. Just walk with me for a minute and I'm going to break it down, in the next slide. But let's just understand the 4 types of communication. The aggressive communication is another one. There's passive aggressive. None of the two is even good. There's assertive communication. Assertive communication is the healthiest form of communication. Passive aggressive. That one hides expression. But what is passive communication? Passive communication avoids expression. So I'm just telling you, because I don't want it to be said that I didn't say it. So whether or not you hear it, I don't care. That is passive communication. Aggressive communication is you must hear this thing that I'm telling you, whether you like it or not. Assertive is to express clearly and respectfully. So think about how you communicate with people. Which communication style do you use the most often? Because when things are going great, right? When things are going great, what you don't know is, if you don't pay attention to your communication style, you don't know if you're passive, if you're aggressive, if you're passive aggressive, or if you're assertive. But when the conversation becomes difficult, You want to tell someone you're no longer working for me. You want to tell someone what you did to me yesterday, I didn't like it. And you want to make sure that you are heard. That difficult conversation that you want to have with somebody, does your communication style change? Because your communication style is going to determine whether the other person is going to open up or is going to shut down. Take, for example, a relationship of a husband and a wife. That's the closest relationship I can think about. The man is talking and the woman is there, but she's not there. Because everything that he said, she didn't hear anything. Okay, think about your friend, your nagging friend, that is on the phone and talking and talking and talking and talking and talking. Have you ever dropped the phone and went to another room? When you finish talking, you will cut the call. Can you remember any of those scenarios that has happened to you or to somebody that you know? Communication style is what determines whether the other person is going to listen to you, shut down, or be open and frank about having, that conversation with you to be sure that whatever the issue is taken care of. Think about your typical conversations. Now, this is an assignment. How do you think you communicate with people? Then the next thing is, how do you think the other person thinks that you communicate with them? Because you could think that you're an assertive communicator, but the other person might think that you are aggressive or you're passive. So it's important for us right now to take a minute and say, how do I think I communicate with people? And then you now ask yourself, how do they think I communicate with them? For example, you could think I'm a calm communicator, or I am a direct person. I hit the nail on the head. I don't waste time. But then there are people that could be defensive and they don't even know it. Have you seen a colleague that you're trying to correct? Oh, what happened here? And then he says, it's not me. The question is, what happened here? The question is not who did this. What happened here? Water spilled, or this thing broke down, or whatever. But the answer that he is giving or she is giving is, it's not me. That is a defensive conversation or defensive mode of communication. Not just for that thing. If you check out that person, the way that person communicates is a defensive style, not just for that one time. If you go ahead and have other conversations about sensitive things like that, you will see that that person is a defensive communicator. Can you blame the person? Maybe he doesn't even know. Maybe she doesn't even know. There's another communication style that is quiet. What is in your mind is in your mind. It's just, you're just not open to having any conversation with anybody. Then there's another conversation style that is controlling. I want you to understand what I am saying. You must hear me today. You know, there are people that are controlling in their conversation. There's another person who is supportive. We can be one or more of all of this depending on the kind of conversation. That is why it's important to pay attention to the kind of conversation style that you even have. That way you're going to know, okay, when the conversation gets tough, this is what I do. When it is smooth, this is what I do. When I'm going to do this, this is how I'm going to talk. So if you don't pay attention to that, then it's going to be a very funny thing. I want us to go to the Bible now, because conversation is the basis of every relationship, like we had established, right? So I'm going to tell us this story from the Bible. It might be different from the way that you have, been reading it and understanding it, but this is how we understand things when people talk to us, because the conversation that we are having now is just about this workshop. But what of the conversation that you have with God or with the pages of the Bible when you open them? So we open the pages of the Bible, and then those words speak to you. What conversation are you having with those pages of the Bible? So let us go ahead and open our Bibles to the book of Matthew, chapter 25 and verse 14. I'm going to read quickly, but follow me, walk with me through the reading. It's a parable. Matthew chapter 25, verse 14. I love to always read from the King James Version. Okay, here we go. Verse 14 to 24, I'm going to read fast. It says, again, is the parable of the bags of gold. Again, it will be like a man going to a journey who called his servants and entrusted his wealth to them. Verse 15. To one, he gave 5 bags of gold, to another, 2 bags, and to another, 1 bag, each according to his ability. Then he went on his journey. Verse 16. The man who had received 5 bags of gold went at once and put his money to work and gained 5 bags more. So also, the one with 2 bags of gold gained 2 more. You know, during a conversation and the word comes up, but, you know what that means? It means stop. Disregard everything that I just said and pay attention to the one I'm about to say. Because everything that I said is in the past is irrelevant. The one that I want to say now is the most important thing. So that's what the Bible has said in verse 18. It says, but, after he has described 2 of the 3 scenarios. Verse 18, but the man who had received 1 bag went off, dug a hole in the ground, and hid his master's money. After a long time, the master of those servants returned and settled accounts with them. The man who had received 5 bags of gold brought the other 5. Master, he said, you entrusted me with 5 bags of gold. See, I have gained 5 more. Verse 21, his master replied, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness. Verse 22, the man with 2 bags of gold also came. Master, he said, you entrusted me with 2 bags of gold. See, I have gained 2 more. And verse 23, his master replied, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many. Come and share your master's happiness. Verse 24, then the man who had received 1 bag of gold came. Master, he said, I knew that you are a hard man, harvesting where you have not sown and gathering where you have not scattered seed. So I was afraid and went out and hid your gold in the ground. See, here is what belongs to you. Let me take a break over there and ask us, Deacon sir, how does this parable minister to you? Share with us in maybe a few minutes how this parable ministers to you. Don't say it in the way of conversation. No, that one is for me to talk about. You just say how this parable ministers to you. Hello, sir. Deacon. Okay, Kemini, go ahead and share how you understand this Bible verse. Then, Coach Eddie, you go ahead and explain to us what this Bible verse usually meant to you before today. Then I'm going to show us something. You're on mute. Okay, sorry, you're muted. You have to unmute if you're talking. is everybody now? Ekemini, Deacon, Coach.
Can I proceed?
Dominic. Yes, proceed.
Okay. For the first time, I see this passage in a different light. I have never taken note of these details until this moment. Initially, I always knew that this man is a selfish and a somebody who doesn't want to see his boss prosper, make profits out of his hard work. So that's how I always saw this person.
But
today,
that's true, though.
Yes.
You can't disregard that. That's true.
Yes. So, however, the details today, is the first time I say you are a hard man. I've never really that particular definition of a hard man, what he meant by a hard man. So, the details are a bit clear now.
Okay. Dominic, Deacon. Where is everybody now? Ahead, Deacon is here. Deacon,
Sorry,
go ahead.
I'm just settling down. Can you please repeat your question?
Okay.
Please. Yeah.
So we read the parable of the bags of gold.
Okay.
So one servant had five talents of gold. The second servant 2. The third servant 1. So explain to us how this parable ministered to you before now.
Well, according to this scripture, the man has 3 servants, right?
That's correct.
And he share his money among them, but not equally.
It's correct.
So the first one, he shared hold on.
You want me to read the passage again?
He shared one with 5. He shared another one with 2. And he shared the third one with just 1.
That is correct.
Okay. But from the look at things, the one that he shared one with was not happy.
That is correct.
In the sense that he shared just only one with him, and he shared 5, with somebody, and 2 to another person. So I believe the way he will respond to their master, it might be in a kind of aggressive manner.
Perfect.
Because he's not happy. And when you are not happy, when you are hungry, the way you communicate will show that you are hungry. And there's no way you could be able to talk calmly, So that's what I can share about it anyway.
That is correct. And that is the way, it kind of portrays. But now pay attention to this. Like Coach Adi said, that he had not paid attention to the words that the servant told the master. Verse 24 says, then the man who had received 1 bag of gold came. Master, he said, I knew that you are a hard man, harvesting where you have not sown, and gathering where you have not scattered seed. So I was afraid and went out and hid your gold in the ground. See, here is what belongs to you. So if you are given something, you didn't ask for it, it was given to you. Should you or should you not be grateful? You didn't ask for it. The master could have left on his journey without giving anything to anybody or without even giving him at all. Because we don't even know if he had more than 3 servants. But the story tells us that he gave 3 servants, 1 5 talents, 1 2, and 1 1. If I want to explain to you this Bible verse as a parent, the way we deal with our children in molding them up, actually, I think I should even go there a little bit. Because the way we communicate is how is the way the other person communicates back to us. So, for example, this man is not happy with what happened, just like we all heard, right? But what would have been the better approach? Should he not have gone to his master before the master traveled and said, Master, I know that based on the way you have, assessed all of us in this house, you have given everybody according to the strength that you think that they bear. Should you not give me more, I will not disappoint you. In any case, I'm just trying to, make my strength known to you. But I will work with this one that you have given me, and I will prove to you what I can offer to you, what I bring to the table. Is that not what we do when we go for a job interview? You're selling yourself. So did this servant actually sell himself at the end of the day? What did he tell the master? He told the master, he said, I knew that you were a hard man. Meaning that whatever this master would have given to this guy will probably not have been enough. Because according to him, this is master is a hard man. Do you think that thing is generated by his master? I don't think so. I think it's something that he had already preconceived. And as a parent, if we are raising children and we are telling children things we are speaking into their subconscious all of the time, you are not enough. You are going to always be passed over. Okay, all of us are Africans, right? And so we pay attention to our first children, the first son, especially. A man who has 11 sons. So what happens to the remaining 10? My first son is my hair. So the other people call, when you had the first son, why didn't you stop? But now you have 10 sons, 11 sons. So the remaining people, what happens to them? You spend all of your energy, your effort, your strength, your resources, and you raise your hair. Just imagine that this servant was a last son. He has been passed over by his mom. He has been passed over repeatedly by his father. He didn't inherit anything from his family because he is not a voice in his family. And then again, his master has done this. Don't you think that would have been a problem for the servants? It's not just about the 1 talent. That is why he was very aggressive. Even if he didn't say anything when he received the talent, but you see what he did with it? He just went and dumped it in the ground. Because nothing from that man would have given the value that he required, not from that place of work, but from where he was coming from his upbringing. So you see, the master did nothing wrong. The master did absolutely nothing wrong. Somebody who complains will always complain regardless. So let us go ahead and see what we can do differently in terms of our communication. Do you know that we all have communication habits? Communication habits are the patterns of speaking and listening that we repeat daily. And at some point, we don't even notice it. You're talking to somebody and the other person is on the phone. Always on the phone. It doesn't matter, except the phone is off before the phone can be dropped down. Good habits strengthen relationships, while poor habits weaken them. Being on the phone all the time, is that a good communication habit or a poor one? For that, I would need an answer. Communication habits are the patterns we bring into conversations again and again. For example, interrupting people. Hey, somebody's talking and you just jump in. Somebody's okay, let me just quickly say this before I forget. Always interrupting people. It doesn't matter who is talking. Have you seen one or more of those kind of people? Then have you seen somebody who is always raising their voice very quickly? Then you now assume what the other person says. Oh, that was not even what I wanted to say, but you have already assumed. You always shut down during conflicts. So there's an issue on ground. And then we need to, take out this elephant in the room. But one of the parties shut down. And this is the one that, as Africans, we are kings of this one. Asking questions before responding. They will say, you're using a question to answer a question. Did you keep this in here? The answer is yes or no. But what is the answer that you give? Did they tell you that I'm the person who kept it there? So, are you asking a question before you respond? You could have just responded and avoided that question that you asked. Over time, this habit creates a communication reputation. You say, okay, it's coming. This is what it's going to do. Just give him a minute. This is exactly what he'll do. And that is what happens. People begin to expect that behavior from you. That behavior that they are expecting from you, is it a good behavior or a bad behavior? If it's a bad habit, let's try to replace it. Most relationships are not destroyed by one big argument. No. So you see, like that servant that we talked about now, it's not about what the master did at that time. It says you are a hard man. It's not a hard man because he gave him one coin. It's a hard man because he has always been hard in the mind of that servant. So most relationships are not destroyed by one big argument. They are slowly weakened by communication habits that are repeated every day. You see, like the way I talked about the parents, the way they raise their kids. They raise their kids not to be enough. They raise their kids. Okay, it's not just about the parents and the kids right now. Even about your colleague, your friends, your spouse. If you treat your spouse like your spouse is never enough, over the years, your spouse will now not feel enough. And that will lead to a big breakdown in that relationship. Your spouse is at work or with other friends and feels complete and whole, and then comes home to the person who says, you are this, you are that. It can really be a big deal. And if both of you are not able to handle it correctly, it can now lead to something else, God forbid. So let us not think that relationships are destroyed by one big argument. No, it's not. It's slowly weakened by communication habits that are repeated every day. What we don't know is that people rarely stop listening because of one sentence. They stop listening because of communication habits. They don't come, we will not stop talking, I beg. So even that thing that you said was not heard, but the other person has already checked out. You say, as you are coming, they've already said, oh, it's coming. And has checked out even before you get there. Because they know that this is this person's behavior. And so they don't want to listen. They've already gone. So let us know that communication is not just about speaking well. It's about building understanding, restoring trust, and strengthening relationships. And I'm hoping and praying to God that I'm able to do that in this communication workshop, that I'm actually able to communicate with you the way that you hear what I'm saying and understand it. There are different types of communication: verbal communication, non-verbal communication, written communication, visual communication. You know, we talked about like the movie that I used for an example earlier on. Written communication, you text, you send an email, you send a Instagram message, a social media message. Those are written communication. Non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication, you know that one, right? The wife is looking at the husband and is looking and is not talking, no, but the body is speaking volume. The way she's just posing and looking at the man as if she wants to tear him down. She didn't need to say anything. And guess what? Everybody in that room knows what has gone on. And then when they say, what did I say? It's not about what you said. You know what you did. And of course, the verbal communication, just like we're having right now. I want you to ask yourself, do I interrupt people when they're talking? Do I? Do I listen carefully? When someone is talking to me, do I listen carefully? Do I react emotionally? Do I assume instead of asking? Let me tell us a funny story. I came to church one day, Sunday morning, and then I met the guy that was helping me park my vehicle. He was standing with his sister, and they were just having a chat. So the sister lives in Nigeria and just came to visit. And so, you know, they were just gisting, having a nice time. And the man who was helping park, over here, we call them the Holy Police. And I said, oh, you're standing here. He's a friend. Okay, no, the wife is my friend. So he's a church member, but the wife is my friend. I said, oh, you're standing here. I know that this is his sister. I said, you're standing here talking to a woman. Was I wrong? Was I wrong? Was he not talking to a woman? Even though the woman was his sister. But did I say anything wrong? Nobody's answering me. Nobody's answering me. So I said, you are here in front of the church talking to a woman. And then they started being so defensive. Ah, this is my brother. Do you not know that this is my brother? And the guy was like, this is my sister, the same mother, the same father. I say, you see, you are just assuming. You are talking to a woman, and you, mama, you are talking to a man, whether or not this person is your sibling. So are we that kind of person that kind of assumes the worst? What are the communications, the issues that we have? The few ones that I just want to list out here is misunderstanding, emotional reaction, poor listening, wrong assumptions like we just talked about. Because, oh, you're talking to a man or you're talking to a woman. I say, yes, this woman is my sister. But first and foremost, you accept, yes, this is my sister. Oh, you don't know her, then you say the name. But because I was trying to be funny, I caught them in the funny trick. So let us not be in the mood of assumption all of the time. So what are the barriers to effective communication? Lack of attention. You know, like when you're holding your phone, you're not really paying attention to what the other person is saying. Emotional stress, cultural differences. So over here in America, when you're talking to somebody, you're looking at the person's eyes. But when I was growing up in Africa, if you're looking at an adult like that, the easiest thing you will get is a knock. The other thing you will get is a slap. You should be looking down when you're talking to your elders. So what are the cultural differences? So you now have children that, like, I grew up in Africa, right? And so now I'm having my children look at me in the face and talk to me. Is that disrespectful? The answer is no. But if they did that to my mom, that would be super disrespectful to my mom. So that cultural differences is something that we have to really pay attention to. So if this is a cultural issue, it's not disrespect. It's just that we need to understand each other better. Noise and distraction, and of course, poor listening skills. How do we improve communication? We listen actively, we speak clearly, we, of course, have to be respectful. So what is culturally respectful for one person might not be for the other, but if we understand each other, it will not be an issue. We have to be respectful. We have to manage our emotions. Don't speak when you're upset, because the words that will come out of your mouth would not be really what is in your mind to say. And those words, you cannot take them back. Then you ask questions for clarity. So you see, like I said, you're talking to a woman in front of the church. Yes, I'm talking to a woman. But maybe you did not know this lady is my sister. So those are things that you just clarify the air. It's not something that you make a big deal out of. So I want you to take 1 minute and say, from today forward, one communication habit I will replace is. Are you always defensive? Because guess what? Most Africans that grew up in Africa are defensive. Your parents will not even give you a moment to open your mouth and say anything. What is this? And the way they stare at you, you've lost your voice. So now growing up, you're growing up to be defensive. So it's not your fault that that is how you were raised, but now you need to understand that being a defensive communicator is not a very effective way to communicate. You don't have to be defending yourself. No, the other person is not a judge. He's not a lawyer. So what habits do you want to replace? Write it down. And what new habit do you want to start? Do you want to engage in starting today? Write it down. Because we're going to go back to the screenshot that we took at the beginning of the workshop, and want to be sure that by the end of this workshop, we are looking at these things and saying, these 4 boxes checks out. So what questions do we have? Let us, okay, I see something in the chat. Okay, that was in response to one question that I asked. Okay, thanks, coach, for that answer. So what I want us to understand is you've had this kind of habit for the longest of time, right? So it doesn't matter what I say within this past 40 minutes or 1 hour or 1 hour, 20 minutes, that is going to change the way we communicate. But what we have done differently is every registered participant is going to be a part of the community. And then in the community, we will share daily tips and tricks for achieving effective communication. Tomorrow, but today, we are going to send out a baseline survey. So between today and the whole of tomorrow, just fill out that baseline. You can put your score in it's going to be a WhatsApp community. So you can tell everybody your score and say, based on this baseline, this is what score I have. And then at the end of the 30 days, because for the next 30 days, we are going to be giving daily tips. You see these tips is just going to be something that you will do within the next 5 and 7 minutes. It's to give you a check. What am I doing differently? What did I say I was going to do? The habit that I didn't know was poor, but now I know it's poor and I want to stop it. What effort have I made today to make sure that I change that habit to something else? I don't want to be a defensive communicator. If I'm asked a question, I don't want to answer with a question. So today, what have I done to make sure that I don't engage in that habit like I have always done? So those tips And those tricks are actionable steps that will take us to where we want to go to. It will take us from where we are now to where we want to go to. So it's important for us, to take that baseline survey, especially for you, because you will not know what you're measuring yourself against at the end of the 30 days. So in 30 days, you will take the survey again, and then you will now see how much growth you have done and what level is left for you to get to, really where you want to say, now I am able to overcome my emotions, I'm able to communicate more effectively, and things like that. This will be a monthly event. Every second Saturday of the month, we are going to have a whole lot to talk about. So today we are talking about communication because communication is the basis of everything. If you have a good communication skill, you would be a great employee. You would even be a great employer because you would talk to people with respect. It doesn't matter if you're paying them at the end of the month or at the end of the week. You would be great with people. You will not be misunderstood, and you also will not misunderstand somebody. So this month we talked about communication. Next month we are going to be talking about executive functioning skills. So executive functioning skills is better than anything you can think about because it puts you in charge of yourself. Who is the number one executive in your life? Is yourself. And so if you don't have the skills to function as an executive, how do you function? So next month, we're going to be talking about executive functioning skills. How you can, develop your emotions, be in charge of your emotions, control yourself before you don't just be so predictable in the negative way. If I step on her foot now, she's going to explode. And that is exactly what happens. But the only thing is they don't know to what level you're going to explode. Is it going to be 100 degrees or 1,000 degrees explosion? So next month is going to be executive functioning skills. The month of May is going to be emotional intelligence. So and it's not just that we have these workshops and then it's a one-off thing. Because we are in a community, there's going to be daily tips that we're going to do, implementing them daily, that is going to help us to be in charge, to be like the whole person that we need to do, or that we need to be. For example, somebody steps on your toes. What will you do? Will you respond or you will react? Somebody cuts you off at the traffic light. Will you take that attitude with you to your job, to the store, and take it out on your children or your spouse or your colleagues? All of these things are the things that are not making us to be exactly where we are supposed to be in life, fulfilling our potentials and all of those kind of things. But slowly, surely, we will get there. This month is communication. Let's do the baseline survey. I'm going to put us in a community by the end of today. And for the people in Africa that are a few hours ahead of us, it's going to be, you would wake up to it. So you'll have the whole of tomorrow to fill out that baseline survey. So that from Monday, we will start implementing those tools. It won't take more than 10 minutes. I don't think it will take more than, it won't take 10 minutes. Because it's just a reflective exercise to give you that motivation to be able to overcome what it is that is your habit, what it is that the other person is bringing against you. Because guess what? Somebody comes to you, sits at his desk and says, I'm going to make sure that XYZ person has a bad day, and comes to you and tries to make you upset, tries to make you mad. If the person succeeds at making you upset and mad, did the person win? The answer is yes, he won. But if you're in charge of your emotions and it comes to you, steps on your toes, says something nasty, and then you're asking a clarifying question, and you're like, oh, what did you mean? I didn't understand what you said. Even if you did, but you know that that person was trying to be sarcastic, he will understand that he has lost the game and he will walk away. And guess what? Who would be upset? Who would be mad? Him or her. So those are the things that we are going to be doing going forward as part of this community. It's to make sure that we fulfill our destiny, we are whole, and then, we kind of be the kind of person that God will be proud to make us. That's the kind of person God created us to be, and we're achieving, that level of potential. Thank you very much. I think I see something in the chat. Okay, that was not a question. I thought it was a question. Do we have any questions? If we don't have any questions, so just pay attention to your emails, to your text messages, to your WhatsApp. You're going to receive an invitation to join the community. Please join the community because it's going to be very rich. It's going to be very rewarding. And the community is to make sure that we support each other to be the best we can. So in the absence of any other question, we are going to communicate a lot inside of the community. You want us to take a minute to wait for questions? Is anybody typing a question? Does anybody want to make a contribution? Does anybody have anything to say? Okay.
I just want to commend you for putting this together. It's a very, fantastic presentation. I see it as something that everybody should, should learn about, should pay attention to, because our communications skill need to be improved. I am trying my best to make sure, no matter the situation, that I will communicate calmly, and that's what gives you a respect. That's what people, score you about. So I'm just commending you. Thank you for the good work, and more grease to your elbow.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That means a lot, sir. Thank you. So, does anybody want to say something? So let's keep our eyes out for that invitation to the community. That way, we are going to have those daily tips, but first and foremost, let's have the baseline. Because you see, Dickens says that he tries his best to always be calm. So it means that he's paying attention to the way he responds, to the way he communicates. But how many of us are doing that? Including myself. Don't think that I got it all covered. So we are in this together. We are in this to grow together. So let's pay attention to that invitation to join the community. And then also we are going to have that baseline survey, and then we are going to have the daily tips. That daily tips is going to be very, very engaging. You pay attention to what the task is, and then you try to execute it. It might be a little challenging because it might be a new habit for you. But after 30 days, it will not be a new habit anymore. Thank you very much for all that you sacrificed to be here. Thank you for being with me through the technical mishap. But now that we figured it out, next month we've overcome this one. So next month is going to be a whole lot better. Thank you so much. Have an amazing rest of your day. Have a great Sunday. If you have any issues like understanding what the baseline is, you can communicate with me. I'll be able to respond within an hour or two. So let's keep our eyes out for that. Thank you. Coach, you have anything to say? Dominic? In the absence of any other comments, I am so grateful that you're here with me. Have an amazing rest of your day. Bye-bye.